Hey guys, welcome to the Canadian True Crime Live. And thanks, Charmaine, for gifting those from your. So that's Charmaine's True Crime Story podcast. And that's the song that goes off. She donated 5 memberships to people. And so let me quickly say who those are. Okay, Charmaine?
Yep.
So let's see here. And yeah, this is in the Canada one, so I'm not sure if Tara, Rick Walker, Purple, Amarlis, and Cross It and Chat, and Moon Shadow 101. Or Moon Shadow 101. Okay. I'm going to put myself on mute, Charmaine, while you talk for a minute, because there's going to be a couple more that are going to go off. So
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to irritate the chat with too many.
Hey, Mustang, how are you? And everybody else? So, what is my... Okay. So I think the majority of people who took that poll did not know about this case. You don't have anything... you don't have any knowledge of this case, which is bizarre to me because it was fairly recent, 2016, I think the arrest happened, and just a crazy, crazy case with, a shopping mall Santa Claus being arrested for a series of murders in Canada. It's kind of, unique. So a little bit surprised that it hasn't gotten more traction, I guess, but that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm just trying to get my screen so I can see everybody. So obviously this case, can everybody hear me? Sunny, is my sound good? Because I had to change some things. Take that as a yes. She doesn't want me rickrolling everybody right off the
Sorry.
hop.
Sorry, I forgot that I was muted. But yes, I can hear you just fine. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this case happened in Toronto, and as most of you know, Toronto is in Ontario, Canada. Ontario is our biggest province, and Toronto happens to be our largest city in the country. So this vile man, he would end up murdering 8 gay minority men, or I should say 7 minority gay men and 1 Caucasian gay man in the district of Church and Wellesley, which is basically known as a safe place for the LGBTQ people to go for safety and community. This was a place where the pride parades would happen and still do. And people across the country would come to Toronto and come to this district specifically seeking acceptance and comfort. And it was just kind of a welcoming community for the gay community. The investigation into the crime was only launched 3 years, after 3 men were reported missing. It would take 6 years for police to discover and solve the mystery behind those disappearances, which they never, until the very end, they never considered most of these men as even really missing. Nobody was looking for them as far as law enforcement was concerned. So yeah. So this investigation, it was first referred to as Project Houston, which to me, it was like when they finally realized that they had a problem, Houston, we have a problem. So that's what I took it as. They've never come out.
Yeah, Houston, we have a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, it was called Project Houston. And there was an inspector who joined the project in late 2012. And much of this information and detail was reported by this inspector. I'm going to give his name a shot here.
And it was 2018 he was arrested.
18? Okay.
Yeah.
So Inspector Hank Insigna. Now it's IDSINGA. So if I I messed it up. My bad. My apologies. No disrespect intended, but insignia. Like I said, he joined the investigation in 2012. Um, so before the disappearances even started happening, Bruce, who was around 50 at that time, he attacked a man midday inside a victim's apartment in the gay village. Bruce struck the man numerous times with a metal pipe. The victim, who had advertised in gay publications as a male hustler, called 911 and was taken to the hospital. Bruce goes to police headquarters to say he may have hurt someone, but doesn't know why he did it. Um, there was nothing that followed that up. There was no follow up on that. He didn't give a name or anything like that, and so it wasn't until after the fact that they went back and they realized that that was Bruce, and it was connected, which is crazy.
Because he got like what, like 2 years and 3 years, like probation or something like that.
Well, in April of 2003, he pled guilty to assault with a weapon and assault causing bodily harm. He later received a conditional sentence of 2 years and 3 years probation.
Mm.
As part of his probation, he's banned from the area, the gay village, and also from spending time with male prostitutes.
And the area, by the way, guys, is called the Village.
The
Oh,
village, right.
Yeah.
Right. He's also ordered to have a sample of DNA taken and added to our database, but he later got a pardon for that conviction. Crazy. He was pardoned for that conviction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Disgusting. So that was actually the incident that would prove to really start to escalate Bruce's need for control and BDSM. Are we allowed to say BDSM?
Sure. What does it mean?
Bondage.
Oh, okay. That. Okay.
That kind of stuff.
Well,
I don't know if I should have said all that out loud, but yeah. I apologize.
YOLO.
Yeah, yes. So after he started to experiment and explore and find himself, because I should say he was married, he had kids, and he had come out as gay, and so now he's trying to, I guess, find himself is the
Yeah,
way.
because he was married, and then I remember listening to he ended up divorcing. And basically, it seemed like after that, his life just kept spiraling.
Yeah, exactly. He was always just looking for, and being banned from the village. He started to get a little bit more creative, trying to fulfill, I guess, his fantasies, if you want to say. He he joined a website. We'll get into it a little bit later, but he joined a website that involved fantasies about cannibalism and stuff like that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk about this later, but there's a piece of me that wonders if he took it out on the village because of him being banned from the village and his life was just a big spiral.
yeah,
It's like, did he have anger issues and that was the target or
for
not?
sure. And um, we had heard. I don't know if everybody knows a lot about John Wayne Gacy, but one of the things that he said, I guess, affected him as a child was his father was quite disappointed in him because he wasn't masculine enough. And Bruce McArthur actually gives that same kind of scenario. That's the kind of relationship he had with his father as well. His dad was never happy with him. He was never manly enough or macho enough for him. He never really excelled at sports or anything like that. He always felt inferior, so there could have been a lot of rage there. And I mean, who knows if Bruce McArthur knew that Gacy had said that and was just kind of mimicking that, or if it was true. But if it's true, then maybe that does have some kind of deep-seated, you know what I mean? If that could create some kind of a rage or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy that people go to these extremes.
Yep.
So, anyways, after he started to experiment and explore and find himself, he was also becoming more of a dominant person who wanted to explore having power over his victims. This came out from time to time, especially when these men would go missing. Sorry, those are my house ponies in the background. But with him being barred from the gay village, he felt like they were trying to keep him away from something that he felt like he had just came into after so many years of being held back, after so many years of, how do they put it, like when gay men get married and they're trying to have a facade of a normal life. And he was at, he, I think he would be considered a boomer generation. So being gay in that generation wasn't acceptable. It just wasn't. So now he's finally free and he's banned from the area that's supposed to welcome these people. He was quite rageful. That being said, he was also very soft-spoken, and everybody said he was a very nice dude. People would refer to him as. I don't know if Sweet Dude's in here, but yeah. Police also said that he was the type of person that you would talk to or interview and not think he could do anything of this magnitude. He was often like the shopping mall Santa Claus. He went to church. He was very religious, but like many others, he lived a double life, and most serial killers seem to have an aspect of their life that is quite normal. So,
Charmaine, do you see, put up these numbers up here?
mhm.
U.S. has 3,615 serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like wow, I was not expecting that number. Canada, they're saying 119. Our population, of course, is just roughly about 35 million here versus the States, which is like 10 times that amount. But still, even if you did that, I'm just looking at the numbers of each one here. It's crazy. Wasn't expecting that number for the US. I've never looked up how many they had. But
Yeah,
anyway,
no doubt.
it's crazy.
So do you have that page where all the victim pictures are?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start kind of getting into them.
Do you want that one or do you want
Let's do that one because we're looking right now for Skanda and Navaratnam. Skanda. He would be
right there?
this one right here on the side. Yeah. Oops. So Skanda went missing in September of 2010. He was a 40-year-old immigrant from Sri Lanka. Skanda was last seen leaving a bar that was called Zippers. Totally cute name for a bar, for a gay bar.
Zippers.
Yeah.
Hey
And
guys.
that bar was near Church Street on, like I said, September 6, 2010. He was reportedly seen with an unknown man. And also interesting is that there were people who said that he and Bruce dated in the past and that they were friends on Facebook. Between December 2010 and October 2012, 2 more men were reported missing. The first male was reported missing December 29th of 2010, and his name was Abdul Basir Fazi, which is the one in the middle
Right
on the
there.
bottom.
Yeah.
He was 42 years old and was a husband and father. He also secretly visited the gay bars from time to time. The second man that was reported missing in October 2012 and also led sort of a double life, and that man was 52-year-old Afghan immigrant Majit Kanan, which is right next. So I guess we just went through the bottom 3 victims then. And he too was a husband and a father. He was also a machine operator at a printing company in Mississauga, Ontario. His car was later found abandoned in Toronto in the area of St. Clair Ave and Mount Pleasant Road, which was close to that gay village.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce killed Fozzie on or about the day he went missing. So it's not like he spent a lot of time with these victims, but we're going to come to find out every single one of his murders were premeditated and very well planned.
And they're of most of them are of brown color.
Yes, all but one. All but one were minority. So police had no idea what happened to the men. This is what the Houston Project was created, but they just didn't really know what to do, I guess. But in 2012, they received a lead that they desperately needed. Crazily enough, the lead came from Switzerland. At the time of the Switzerland investigators reaching out, they referred to their information as coming from an informant. The informant was part of an online cannibal fetish community, which isn't something that really came in because I don't know that he was ever accused of cannibalizing any of his victims, but it was proven that he was definitely into this kind of stuff. The informant said that he was chatting with a man going by the online name of John Jacob. This John Jacob had told the informant that he had killed and eaten a brown-skinned male from the gay village in Toronto. That wasn't enough on its own for the informant to report the information, but he did feel compelled to look into Toronto news and see if any men fitting that description were missing, and that's when he saw the poster for Skanda. And just a side note here, the same informant actually had given Switzerland authorities information previously on another cannibal and serial killer in Slovakia, and his name was Matej Kurko, I believe. I don't think he was paid by the police or anything like that. I think he was part of like the online fetish site, and when people took it to the next level or seemed to be a little extra than everybody else on this cannibalism site, he reported it. It's just really crazy. At what point would you just leave that group? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I'm glad that there are people out there that are kind of, I guess, almost policing
Right.
those
Yeah.
types of sites. Everybody has their thing. Everybody has their own kink. I don't know whether it's right or wrong that there's a cannibalism kink, but at the same time, we know that there are people out there who do fantasize and fetishize about eating people. So having a fetish community online is, I think, a safe outlet for that kind of
Yeah.
perversion.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So do I like that that exists? No, but at the same time, there is a silver lining in that some of these people, if they didn't have that outlet, maybe they would be out actively looking for people to taste.
Mm-hmm. I remember the one report I was listening to yesterday, like the one documentary. It said that the one common factor that these three bottom men had was that they all knew MacArthur.
Yeah. And
You know, and then they had questioned him or something like that. But anyways, um, that was probably the start of their, you know,
yeah.
once they connected the three.
Yeah, but like even that informant, he had credibility, and the Switzerland authorities took him seriously. The disappearance investigation started looking like a possible murder investigation, as far as Switzerland authorities thought.
Right.
But Project Houston
Right.
wasn't. They weren't associated with a homicide squad at that time, so these reports are all discounted, and the investigation was still not taken seriously enough to be
Yeah.
considered a murder investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but another user on the cannibal fetish site went by the name of Silver Fox Toronto, though police investigations through police investigations, they wanted to know if Silver Fox would know anything about the disappearance or about the person on the forum. He's in Toronto and he's part of the same weird site. But in 2013, they were able to identify Silver Fox as Bruce McArthur.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I was an investigator, I would probably put two and two together pretty quickly. I think most of us would. Toronto is a big place, but cannibal fetishes don't seem that common
Right.
in Canada. And they believe that somebody on that site killed a man in the gay community, and now they have another man, part of the same group. I don't know.
Right.
It seems suspicious. It seems like something that investigators should have looked into at that point in time. Obviously, the ball was dropped on this because they didn't look into him much more than he's a shopping mall Santa Claus. He's a graying, small,
I know.
white dude that didn't look like much, I guess.
Right.
So he was basically just viewed as a witness and nothing more. After a few questions, he was just free to go, and the police were at a dead end with the disappearances again. But in April 2014, Project Houston ends.
Yeah.
With no results, no resolution, nothing.
They said that something like they had nothing left to go on, type of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much it.
what do they call it? And they did the same thing with the Green River Killer, where the task force was kind of disbanded because they had nothing else to go on.
Yeah.
But you can't even really compare it to that because they weren't taking it as a series of murders or even series of disappearances. They were looked at separately and not taken seriously at all, which is sadly pretty common in Canada. And most people think of it as like an Indigenous women thing or just a high risk lifestyle thing, but in fact it was these men who were married and who were maybe exploring a little bit with their, I don't even know the right way to put it on YouTube, but their
Sexuality?
orientation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like how they kept using the word. That must be the new word because I've never heard it. But I noticed that whenever they spoke of these men, or when they speak of like the minority, they use the word marginalizing.
Marginalizing.
Yeah, it was a very common word I kept hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying that they were, you know how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is when basically it's like, oh, you're a hooker, so we're not going to look into you,
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
thing. You're gay, so you're not worth as much, type of
That's
thing. Yeah.
That's right. And I think,
Word
and when we
marginal.
show the interrogation video, I think to me, if you look at the police officer's body language, it seems to me like they're just really uncomfortable listening to a gay man tell about a gay encounter.
Mm,
Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It looks like they don't want to touch it. They don't want to hear about it. They just, okay,
Yeah.
I have to do my job. Tell me your story. You're free to go. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
just so
Like
uncomfortable with the
you.
whole
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in August of 2015, men in the district of Church and Wellesley started to go missing once again. 50-year-old Iranian refugee Sarush Muhammad.
That would be.
Mahmoudi, not Muhammad, sorry.
Uh, oh, wait. What's the name?
Sorry. Sarush Mahmoudi. I'm terrible.
Huh. It's-
Is he not on that list?
No.
Huh. How many are on there?
8.
There's 8? Well, it must be.
No. But these two guys at the top don't look
Well, the one is Asian.
14.
No, that's a missing guy. Did you get this from Stevie by any
Yeah.
chance?
Yes,
Yeah.
Stevie's.
Okay. Can
Yeah.
you scroll down? Did he have more there? Yeah. So
That was Abdul. That was Hamid. That was one of the top 3 there. No,
yeah.
I think maybe he never completed it or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Because these are the gentlemen here, all of
Mhm.
them. And these 2 top ones that are here aren't any of these people. So I think he only got 6 of them. But these are the actual gentlemen here.
It looks like those might be like the first page that we're showing might be like
I'm
just
gonna,
missing men in the Toronto area, not so okay. So you can't so the one on the far on my right top is this victim that we're talking about right now.
this one right here.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's Sarush. Why can't I say it? Mahmoudi. I
So
could
they're not
say it.
exactly easy names.
No, I know, but I mean, I could say it before, but my bad. I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever. But, so anyways, he, like I said, he was reported missing by his family in August of 2015. He was also in the closet, quote unquote, and he also lived a bit of a double life. According to the statement of facts, Bruce killed him on or about August 15th. So, you know, basically same day he was missing from his family. But investigators still weren't quite sure what they were looking at, but apparently the idea of a possible serial killer at this time was starting to come to light for them. So what are we now? Victim number 4, and finally they're starting to think, maybe we have a problem here.
There you go.
Yeah, it's better. So here we go. On June 20th, 2016, the Toronto police bring Bruce in for questioning after a man called 911 claiming that Bruce strangled him in the back of his caravan during an otherwise consensual encounter. Police interviewed him. He denied everything, and then they just kind of let him go. So I want to play that interrogation if I could. Let me just see if I can remember how to do this. Window? Yes. And then I share it, right?
Yeah.
And then you approve it?
Yeah.
And you just let me know and I can hit play?
Yeah.
Are you good?
I'm good. Yeah. I'll put us off.
Okay.
Those are good looking chairs, Shermy. Can you just bring it forward a little bit? Your video? Oh. Shermaine, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out because it was playing on my end fine, so
Oh, it was?
yeah.
Oh.
Let's try it again. I'm sorry. Like I can see it on mine. It's playing fine.
Okay. Let me see. It's not playing. I don't hear anything here. Let me know when you actually hear something. Can you hear something now?
No, I just reshared it with you.
Yeah. Okay, not hearing anything because you're probably hearing it through your own speakers. So let me just see if there's uh, one second.
Huh. Let's see if I can just reshare it with you. Can you cancel whatever you've got on there?
I don't have anything on there. Just
Okay.
being you.
Okay, let me do it again.
Yeah.
It should work because it's playing on mine and it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's coming out of your speakers only.
Okay.
Let's see. Nope, but just leave it out for. We can't hear nothing yet.
So,
Oh, there we go. There we go. What did you do?
Nothing, I just reshared it.
The time right now is
Are you hearing anything? Because we're not hearing anything. Unmute your mic for a second.
Constable Diane?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, but you have to leave your mic unmuted or we can't hear it.
Your name
Because
is.
you're playing it from your computer.
You can spell it for me, please. BRUCE and McArthur, M small c capital ARTHU. Okay, sir. And right now, you're under arrest. You're placed under arrest this evening for the offense of assault. Okay. You've been brought here 232 Division for the purposes of being investigated for that offense. Okay. So a few minutes ago, we just had a brief conversation. I introduced myself, and I gave you an opportunity to provide a statement. You said that you wanted to do so. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. And at the same time, I also asked you if you wanted to speak to a lawyer before doing so. I'm going to ask you again, do you wish to do that before we begin?
No, it's fine.
Okay, sir. So an allegation has been made against you, and this officer in just a moment is going to let you know exactly what that allegation is, okay? What I'm going to do to you right now is just read you a caution and let you know that you're being investigated for the offense of assault, okay? You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but whatever you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay. Do you wish to say anything in answer to the charge? Again, do you wish to provide us a statement?
Yes.
Some clarity as to what happened. Okay. So just understand, sir, again, you're not under any obligation to give us the statement whatsoever. You're allowed to cease communicating with us at any time, but we're certainly giving you an opportunity to present your side of the story. So this officer is just going to give you an overview here of what's being alleged, okay?
So the allegations are that around 6:30 p.m. this evening, you met up with a gentleman by the name of at the intersection of Thurston Finch. During the course of your involvement with him, there was an allegation made of assault, which in choking was the allegation made, and that's basically why you're under arrest today for that assault.
Okay. So, sir, if you would like to provide us with your account of what occurred earlier this evening.
Well, we talked about going for dinner, and he said he needed to take a shower, so I said I'd meet him at the Tim Hortons at Finch and Bathurst. And so he arrived, and we were going to have sex, and he suggested doing the back of his truck since it hadn't been used yet. So it was a brand new truck. I said, oh, there's more room in the back of my van. So we went to my van. And we started kissing, and I put my hand down his pants, and he wanted me to squeeze his penis, but then he said he wanted harder, to pinch it, to pinch and pinch and pinch as hard as I could. So I did. And he got aroused by that. And so then I thought, okay, he likes it rough. So I put my hand to his throat, and just for a few seconds, because before that he's very strong, he just completely turned around and grabbed me by the throat. He said, now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to you. and he had me by the throat to the point that I couldn't breathe. So I put my hands like up in the air, like surrender, because I couldn't talk. And that's when he finally let go. And then he jumped out of the car. He said, I don't want to see you again. So I sat there because I was kind of out of breath. And I thought he was getting in his car to leave, because he started the car and it was running. I could hear it running because he was parked right beside me. And the next thing I heard him say, it's 911 or whatever. And so I thought, oh gosh, he's calling the cops. And so I got out, and then he got out and walked around and was taking my license plates and that. And so that's when I got kind of uptight, and I got in the car and I drove off. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I should go and give my side of it, but I could not think of like where a police station was in that area. So the only one I could think of was downtown, but then I realized there's one somewhere in Eglinton, and that's where I drove to.
Just on the last point, sir, did you go to that police station at Eglinton before the officers contacted you?
Yeah, no, I went there, and then they came there to me. Because the lady I spoke to there, I told her came to make a statement, and she said she ran my name, and she said, there's nothing coming up on the screen. I said, well, what about my license plate? And she said it would show up too. So that's when she called.
So you went on your own free will. It's not like an officer called you to come to the
No, no
station
one
or-
called me.
Excuse me, anything like that.
No.
Okay. So you indicated that this incident occurred with what's his last name?
I don't know his last name.
And how long have you known him for?
2 or 3 years, maybe.
Okay. And as you're describing it, this is somebody that you were in an intimate relationship with. Is that right?
Well, intimate. I see him maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe.
Okay. And how did the two of you meet?
Online, I think.
Online?
I think online.
Has anything like this ever happened before where things got out of hand?
Not like that. No, not that quickly, or not just like that.
Like, things have never gotten violent?
No.
You know? Okay. So you indicated that I think it was around 6:30 p.m. You said?
Yeah, between 6:30 and 7.
Okay. And you said you
I
met
think-
at the
Yeah, something like that. I think it would be 6:30 and 7.
and you said you met at the Tim Hortons parking lot at Bathurst and Finch. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it still would have been bright outside at 6:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you indicated that you were going to have sex in his truck that was new.
He suggested that, and I said, well, there's more room in the back of my van than there is your truck.
Okay. What kind of truck did he have?
Ford something, 4-door.
Okay. And your van is
It's a Dodge Caravan.
Dodge Caravan? Okay. And you said that the two of you were parked beside each other, right?
Yeah.
And then you went into your van, is that right? And then you said you started kissing.
Yeah.
And that's when this incident basically happened, is that right?
Well, then my hand went down his pants, and he said, squeeze, pinch it as hard as you can.
Okay. What part of the van were you in when this happened?
See,
Back seat? Like the back seat or like the very back of?
well, there's only one seat. Actually, the seats are all except for one seat, one bucket seat in there. So there's a bit of room.
And was there a possibility for anybody else to see what had gone on?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, because you're lying on the floor, who could see you?
Oh, so you were down some.
Yeah, lying flat on the floor.
Okay. And you indicated that you started to pinch his penis, and he indicated that he wanted it rougher, I believe.
He said harder, as hard as you can do it. Yeah.
Okay. And at that point, you said that you motioned your hands up to his neck.
Well, after, we did that for a while till he was getting harder and harder.
Okay.
Okay, so I figured he obviously liked that.
Okay. And what was your reason for bringing your hands up to his neck? What was your understanding?
I thought he liked it rough.
Okay.
He was getting off on that.
And then you indicated that immediately he then put his hands around your neck. Is that right?
He was like, he's very strong. Before you know it, he just had completely swung around and was facing me on, pushing me down, and his hands were around my neck. Like really quick.
So there's a brief struggle.
Yeah, well, I couldn't struggle with him after once he had his hands around my neck. He was very strong.
Okay. How long did this last for, approximately?
Seconds.
Are you injured at all, sir?
No.
Do you believe he would have been injured?
I didn't think so.
Lacey, did you have any questions?
No, it's pretty good.
Okay, sir. Just before we conclude, is there anything else you feel might be important to tell us before we end the interview?
Like what? I don't know what else would be.
Just, we always give people an opportunity to say something that maybe we haven't asked before we conclude.
I don't know. We had sex, numerous times and never had a problem.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Time that I have is 10:28. Conclude the interview here.
I wanted to play that out because from start to finish, that interview was 11 minutes and 23 seconds long. And it wasn't edited. So you tell me if that was a thorough, and keep in mind, they had minimum 4 missing men from that same gay village. So I think that was a pretty shitty interrogation, to say the least. They could not wait to get out of there. The one police officer wasn't really paying too much attention to the woman, but I do know just by watching that the male police officer took, and his notepad was not a legal size notepad. It was literally a little notebook, a page and a half of notes. Didn't ask him any hard questions, and it seems to me like they didn't even consider the possibility that this man who had just been accused of assaulting another gay man could be involved in the disappearances. So very, very disturbing. There was a couple of questions, and I know Travis had told everybody that no, Canada doesn't have the death penalty. And I was going to wait to the very end, but this is no different than Willie Picton. If you remember our last Canadian true crime episode, we told you all that Willie Picton is up for parole here right away. Bruce McArthur is no different in that he was sentenced to 25 years. 25 years is considered life in Canada. For Bruce McArthur, because of his age, he probably will die in prison, but it's not guaranteed. He will, if he lives, I think he'll be 91 years old when he comes up for parole and sees through, yes, that was the whole interrogation. Okay. And should we call it an interrogation or should we call it an interview? I mean,
it wasn't no interrogation, that's for sure.
No. Just really terrible. And like I said, at this point, they had a minimum of 4 men missing, and they didn't know it at the time, but murdered from that same area. So just really terrible.
Yeah. And
Um,
yeah, so like we know that there's 8 people he was charged for. I mean, there could be more.
mhm.
There could be more people, but
There
these
could
are
be.
the. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, totally. There could be.
Yeah, and
Um,
he placed them in planters, in various areas around that. Around that Toronto area, because you can explain that because he was like a landscaper as
mhm.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did for work. He was a landscaper. We'll get into that here pretty much right away. Let's just get through the rest of these poor men that went missing in April 2017. Salim Esen, who was 44 years old from Turkey, he also went missing. He was last seen alive on April the 15th. He didn't have a permanent address and was reported missing 2 weeks after his last reported spot or appearance or spotting, last time he was seen. So police started to feel the pressure as Salim had a group of people pushing for answers about his disappearance. And there's a pattern growing of immigrant and or vulnerable people going missing that typically had no one to ask questions or vouch for their disappearance. Like nobody was technically missing them. Even the ones that were married and were just kind of stepping out into this, I guess, closeted lifestyle. It's not like they didn't go for a few days and then appear back in their regular lives. So they weren't being reported missing immediately. But then in June 2017, there's another man that goes missing, 49-year-old Andrew Kinsman. He is reported missing by his friends. Andrew's disappearance didn't go unnoticed. He was a volunteer to the community, and his absence was noticed immediately. He also had a lot of experience in the queer organizations, and his community was very large as he worked with a lot of people in the LGBTQ community, not to mention, and I mean, I don't want to get into anything here, but not to mention he was a white Canadian man. Police, in my opinion, started taking things very seriously because of race and status. Like I said, that's just my opinion, but they started taking things seriously after Andrew was reported missing. But anyway, Andrew was last seen alive near his home in Cabbagetown, which is north of Toronto, and police would later confirm that Andrew was killed right around June 26th of 2017. Another Jeffrey Dahmer, just older victims. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In August of 2017, Toronto police launched Project Prism, looking into the last 2 disappearances. They also get information from the previous Project Houston. They gathered all the surveillance footage of the area. It wasn't until August 2017 that police sat down and started to look through all of the footage. Police admittedly said that they didn't really know what they were looking for, but once they started watching, a red Dodge Caravan started to stick out to them. This vehicle had circled the block twice around the time that Andrew went missing, around 2 p.m. on the 26th of June. They were able to follow the footage of the red Caravan a couple of blocks down the street until one of the still images of the video is clear enough for them to get a good view and description of the vehicle. Meanwhile, how it looked, like if there was any rust, what did the tires look like, if there was any abnormality, anything like that. It was a red Dodge Caravan. So they then took that information and decided to go to the registries and get a printout of every 2004 to 2006 red Dodge Caravan in the city of Toronto. And keep in mind what I said, that's our biggest city in the country. So it obviously took this white Canadian going missing for police to start doing everything in their power to see who took him or what had happened with him. So back to that vehicle, there's over 6,000 red Dodge Caravans in the city of Toronto. But Yeah, I mean, yeah. And if you think of the Elantra video, they were able to narrow that down to the make and model and even somewhat the year fairly recently. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think they were looking into like 23,000 of those Elantras in the Idaho 4 case, but only 6,000 in this case. So, but I mean, it took just as long. Also, Andrew had on his calendar around that date that he had an appointment with a guy, just the name Bruce. So that was also a lead at the end of it all. But still haven't found immigrant Abdul City. Oh, really? Is that connected to this case, Angel? I don't know. So anyways, out of the 6,000 vehicles, 5 of them were registered to somebody named Bruce. And one of the men named Bruce was none other than Bruce McArthur. Shocking. Oh, interesting. Huh. Okay, so now we have Silver Fox, also known as Bruce McArthur. The man who is part of that online cannibal fetish community, like we said. Police talked to him a year or two earlier than this, and they felt that he was looking pretty suspicious. I'm also guessing police were really starting to kick themselves at this time, thinking, oh shit, what do we have here? Days following the announcement of the new task force, Bruce, he actually gets rid of that caravan. But luckily enough, police are able to snatch it from a wrecking yard. So he didn't even like sell it. He just turned it into an auto wrecker, which I think, depending on the kind of car, you'll get like $50 or $100 for it just for the scrap metal. But that's what he did. He just wanted to get rid of that vehicle. So November 2017, the vehicle was examined and the forensics team did their thing. And there was a significant amount of blood in the back of the caravan. The blood was later identified as belonging to Andrew Kinsman. Yeah, I know the case you're talking about, Angel. It's tragic and horrific. So now with this information, they had evidence of murder. And not only is it evidence of a murder, but evidence connecting Bruce to that murder. So instead of arresting Bruce, police decided to keep him under close surveillance. In December of 2017, police were able to get a warrant to secretly enter Bruce's apartment in the middle of the night and clone his computer. To do this, they needed so many things and so much preparation. For one, they had to nail down Bruce's roommate's schedule, Bruce's schedule, as well as, of course, they needed a locksmith ready to go in at a moment's notice. And they really just had to prepare to get in and get out as quickly as they could. It was this, yeah.
Let me ask you something there, because when I was watching a documentary yesterday, they had been surveillancing him for quite a few months, they had said. And then basically a gentleman was meeting up with him, and they said they didn't want no harm to come to that gentleman. So they decided to go in then.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're getting there. That's definitely how he was finally arrested, and yeah. So,
okay, sorry, I thought that was getting bypassed, and I was like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, no, that's when the police, went in and found everything. So,
okay, sorry about that.
That's all good.
I didn't realize you were coming to it. I thought that I was just like, oh, I remember that part of the documentary.
Yeah. So on the 7th of December back in 2017, they were able to get into his apartment and clone about 45% of his computer before their surveillance team actually let them know that Bruce was coming back early, and they all had to get out of there as quickly as possible. It's almost like a movie. If you're picturing this in your head, you know what I mean? It's like one of them spy movies. But luckily in that 45% that that they managed to get from his computer, police received thousands of photos, emails, thumbnails, and everything in between. Police had to comb through all of that information, and it wasn't until 5 weeks later they finally found out that Bruce made files of his victims. He had taken photos of some of the victims while he was camping with them and just hanging out with him. Some of those photos were of Bruce and male victims who were seemingly unconscious. One of those men was actually the man that called the police when Bruce choked him in the back of the caravan. The man had no idea that he was ever unconscious or that he had been photographed. He had no recollection of anything like that happening to him. The photos also uncovered 2 more victims that hadn't even been reported missing. So as Bruce took those post-mortem photographs of his victims, the only way police could identify one victim was to release the photo to the public. The photo was disturbing because the person portrayed was obviously dead. But Canada does that kind of thing. And then as soon as, it disappears from the public, and it's like, now they're more or less saying, like, what photo? Like, what are you talking about? We didn't release a photo. It's bizarre. So that man was actually a 37-year-old refugee. This one is a mouthful, guys. Kureshnikamar. That's the best I got. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But he was a Sri Lankan refugee who went missing approximately December 2015. And according to the statement of facts, he would have been killed on or about January 6, 2016. So I don't really understand that one, because they do say in the statement of facts that he did not keep any of his victims for any amount of time. So there's a little bit of a gap there. But the other victim who had never been reported missing was 43-year-old Dean Lipsowick, and that's the, I think the Asian. I can't even say that he's Asian.
Well, he doesn't even look Asian. He actually looks white, doesn't he?
He does, but he's not. Andrew Kinsman was the only Caucasian.
Yeah.
So there's another picture of Dean where he does look Asian, but Dean was a resident of the shelter system in Toronto, and sadly no one reported him missing. They suspect that he died on or about April 23rd of 2016. So on January 18th, 2018, police are monitoring Bruce as he arrives home around 10 a.m. with an unknown male. The day was a Thursday, and police had planned to arrest Bruce on Saturday after surveilling him. But as he had a man with him behind closed doors, they had to act fast. And 18 minutes after he first got home, the police went and arrested him. He was charged then for 2 counts of murder. So Bruce's 9th victim would have been the man that they found inside. He was tied. When the police went in, this man was tied to Bruce's bed. He had a hood over his head. He somehow managed to get the hood off, but the man was tied to Bruce's bed. The victim has never been publicly named, but the police confirmed that he was tied to the bed with the hood. Bruce only made files for who he planned to kill and or who he had already killed. And the only other file made other than the named victims was for this person. So there are no doubts in my mind or investigators' mind that this was going to be Bruce's next victim. So now they have Bruce in custody, but they still didn't have their bodies. Police got warrants for all the places that Bruce had lived over the years. He was a landscaper and really into planting. On one property on Mallory Crescent in Toronto, police found pretty much all of the bodies. A couple lived there and owned the house, but they also had a vacation property, and they allowed Bruce access to the property whenever they were away. They were rather surprised when police arrived with a search warrant and kicked them out of their own home. It was a really cold winter that year, and the ground was freezing. They brought in canines, and the canine gave an indication to a planter on the back of the Mallory Crescent property. Officers didn't know if the dog was indicating to the planter or the ground underneath. Now, the planter was frozen solid, and on this day, they seized those 3 frozen planters from that property. So once the planters started to thaw out, the smell of decomposition was so bad that officers just knew that there was going to be something inside. Officers actually ended up moving the planters to the morgue, strictly based on the smell. They sat at the morgue for a couple more days so that they could fully thaw out. They actually ended up doing an x-ray on one of them, and even though the ice was still thick inside, they were able to make out a rib cage. Yeah. Once they were able to get all of the planters, they confirmed that the majority of 7 of the 8 victims were inside the planters. Bruce would also keep items from the victims, even their hair. And it's not just like a lock of hair. The pictures that I saw looked like he was scalping his victims. Just twisted. So on March 6, 2018, Toronto Star said that an internal police misconduct investigation had begun in connection with that interrogation. The investigator told the Toronto Star that he initiated a complaint into concerning behavior of officers who potentially did not do what they were supposed to have done. And we all saw that firsthand, that 11-minute interview. And like I said, 4 victims, minimum 4 victims at that time. So because 4 victims and how many other men were assaulted, and for sure one more probably completely traumatized because the police, to me, were too uncomfortable to actually interview and piece together what was going on with the man they had in their interrogation room. Right? Yeah. So anyways, March 22nd, 2018, in the wake of the mounting questions about past handling of the McArthur investigation, the Toronto Police Board commissions an external review of how the Toronto Police handled the missing person cases. Though the probe cannot directly examine the McArthur cases individually because of the ongoing investigation and looming trial, the external investigators were supported by the chief, who had already launched an internal investigation about missing persons cases. So April 3rd, 2018, Toronto Police withdraw an application to participate in the 2018 Pride Parade. One day after Pride Toronto and a coalition of LGBTQ groups called on the police to rescind their request to take part. So obviously, the city was very angry and shocked about the deaths in the gay village and the insufficient investigations into missing persons cases. The group said that damaged relationships between the community and the police cannot be mended through a parade, which fair enough. May 2018, Toronto Police complete their 4-month forensic examination of McArthur's apartment. They seized 1,800 exhibits and took more than 18,000 photographs. So it's basically the largest forensic investigation in Toronto's history. It's pretty big. I want to say it's St. Catharines, please. I want to say like St. Catharines and all of that are like suburbs of Toronto, but this is where the Ken and Barbie killers were in the suburbs of Toronto, but right around there, St. Catharines and all that is right around there. So this isn't like the first serial case that we've had out of Toronto, but this was definitely the largest investigative forensic investigation that was ever done in Toronto history. So yeah.
Do you want to read where are you at now?
Um,
Are we going to read the brief statement of facts one?
so just back at that Mallory Crescent, there were more. The rest of the human remains, or the majority of the human remains, were actually found in gardens, but they were all found on that property. There was a ravine that ran through there, so there was definitely. Obviously, this is where they went to because that's where the planters were. So they went back there, and sure enough, this is where they found the rest of the remains, and they were all dismembered. They didn't find like a full cadaver or anything like that. They were all dismembered and put into compost piles in a ravine area, buried. But they did I'd say it was a 9-day excavation. But yeah, they were able to find the majority of the remains, but remains of every victim there. So yeah, so we can go through the statement of facts if you want, but this, I mean, the statement of facts was just basically because Bruce, he pled guilty, obviously. I think it was to avoid trial. Like, we don't have the death penalty here. He didn't get any leniency out of his confession. So to me, the statement of fact is kind of, I don't even know if I'd call it interesting, because this is Bruce's version of events, right? So, you know what I mean? I don't know. For me, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it's really just the same stuff that was talked about, really.
Yeah, just going through the facts. And honestly, that's kind of where you grab most of the information. And this is what he agreed, he signed off on. So probably a little bit of the police's version of events based on the evidence, and Bruce saying this is what happened with that one. And they put together this agreed statement of facts so that he could sign off on it and not go to trial. He pled guilty. He was sentenced to 25 years. Like I said earlier, Willie Picton had, what did we say, 6 convictions? But
6
he had murdered
convictions, right?
probably close to 50 people, but still
49.
Yeah, 25 years. And Bruce McArthur for 8 murders, 25 years.
Yeah.
And I had also said in that episode, I believe I said it either in the episode or on my podcast, that in Calgary a few years ago, there was a man who murdered a grandmother, a grandfather, and their 4-year-old little grandson. And that was the first one. I want to say Canadian history, but I better stick to Alberta history, because I know for sure that it's the first in Alberta history where he was given consecutive sentences. So he has to serve 75 years, 3 life sentences before he comes up for parole. That, to me, if you're going to give somebody life, that's what life is. You spend the rest of your natural life behind bars.
Yeah.
Instead of now, for me, we have to worry about Willie Picton coming
Getting
up
out.
for parole
Yeah.
this month.
Yeah.
This for February. It's this month.
This is for day parole, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then
He's not going to get it. Let's be real. Parole boards aren't stupid. I don't think he's going to get it.
but still, it's like his 25 years is up in a couple months.
Yeah. 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 And
Yeah.
it's eventually his natural sentence will have been served. So unless between now and then he is designated a dangerous offender, he will be let out. His natural sentence will have been served. And that, to me, is horrific. It's all he wanted was that one last victim. He wanted to get to 50, and he's not old enough yet to not be a threat to society.
Right.
So even though the American justice system has its problems, it most definitely does, I think the Canadian justice system is broken. If you can murder 8 people, 8 human beings in such a horrific way,
Can only get 25.
sit in that interrogation and not sweat, he's clearly, it's not good. And he's going to be eligible for parole one day. Willie Picton, he could get out of jail this month. There's a problem here. Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How old is Willie?
Robert Picton, yeah.
I think he's just around my mom's age. I want to say he's like 73 or 74.
Let's see, how old is Robert Picton? Pick. Let me spell that right.
But this guy was what, 67 when he was
74, yeah.
Willie Picton is 74. But Bruce McArthur, he was killing, and he was good to go. He was going to keep going. You know, it's just very disturbing to me that there's, I don't know. And I mean, I said it too, and I can't remember if it was on this live stream or in my YouTube thing, my podcast thing. But when we start moving men like Paul Bernardo into medium security prisons, or Michael Rafferty into medium security prisons, because that's where the programs are, that's where the rehabilitation and counseling is, to me, who cares? Paul Bernardo doesn't get to be rehabilitated. He should never see the light of day again. And Michael Rafferty, Bruce McArthur, Willie Picton, these men should not be, they shouldn't even be giving the slightest bit of hope that they'll see the light of day again.
Yeah. And again, just to the chat, again, in Canada, 25 years was the maximum. So Robert Picton in 2027, he'll come up for full parole, like meaning he'll be done his sentence, 25 years. When did the law change?
What do you mean, for consecutive?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that it has across Canada, but I know that the Douglas Garland case where he killed the likenesses and the little O'Brien boy, he was the first one, and I really do want to say it's Canadian history, sentenced to consecutive sentences. So 3 life sentences, 75 years before he comes up for parole. And that was the first one in Alberta history for sure, but I want to say Canadian history.
Yeah.
And Paul Bernardo, I don't want to like spread panic or anything. Yes, he was transferred to a medium security prison. And yes, that's the reason why I said, because there's programs and rehabilitation and counseling and all that kind of stuff. Paul Bernardo has also been designated a dangerous offender. So they don't have to, he's already been up for parole and he's been denied. They don't ever have to. There's no natural expiration of his sentence because he has that designation. I'm not 100% sure how it all works, but if you're a dangerous offender, that release date never comes unless you're rehabilitated and you can get your counselors to sign off that you're not a dangerous offender anymore, and then the parole board says that, oh, you're not a dangerous offender anymore. Okay, you know, I think it'll be a cold day in hell if that ever happens. But even the fact that they're giving him hope by putting him in a medium security prison, to me, just screams our justice system is broken. Those poor families of the victims, because he was the Scarborough rapist too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they should just be put in a corner in his cell 23 hours a day, and we should all be forgetting about him, but they don't let us. So,
I'm right. And like I said, you know, I think at the end of the day, nobody really remembers the victims, right? It's always just, you know, someone like Bruce McArthur, who was a Santa Claus, that people will know that by the name. But usually if you said a victim's name, they're not going to remember. Well, certain cases for a while, like I'm sure like in the Idaho case.
But these single men, one person has so many victims, so it's unfortunate, but it's easy to remember these monsters' names. But there's so many victims that, you know, like I can name probably an impressive amount of the Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Gary Ridgway, all of them. But there's no way I can hundreds of women and hundreds of men
Right.
can't do it. I can't. And it's sad. It's sad. At least in the States, most of the time, life is life, and there is the possibility of a death penalty, and very few states actually use it. So, BTK, yeah, just so many victims, and these men are so horrific. They make it memorable. So now we've got their names. So we've got the Santa Claus killer. We had the clown killer with Gacy. We had the what was he? The co-ed killer, Ed Kemper. I can't remember what Bundy was called, but he was like the charming killer or some stupid stuff. The Night Stalker. Like they make themselves memorable, and the media helps with that. And then people like me, we're just on the bandwagon. We're like, oh, that's interesting. So
Mm. And what do you like? I mean, did they ever say, or do you what do you believe is the motive? Like I said at the beginning that because of that thing where he got banned from the village, which is basically the gay area of Toronto. So he got banned from that for that incident back in 2001. Do you think that it was like a personal attack on the village because he was just an angry person and was gonna like I don't know. What do you think?
myself, I don't think that these men have a motive. Usually, when you're looking at a motive, the way I think of motive, and maybe Travis can correct me, but a motive to me is like a revenge or a purpose for something instead of feeding something within themselves. So these men who are serial killers, they're sadomasochists, or, you know, they're doing what they're doing because it makes them feel a certain way. It's not for revenge. He was a gay man who liked BDSM and some other horrific things, and that's why he did what he did. So, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference there for me. Like, a
I
motive
get it.
is
For
like
right.
revenge or a reason to do something instead of for myself. This is what I need to feel good, and this is what I want to do. If that makes sense, it
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
really.
because at the end of the day, it's not like there's multiple different spots. There's one basically spot that is called the village. That's typically where, like I said, that people from other countries they come over because it's accepted,
Mhm.
versus it's not accepted in their country, and they come to this village, which is like, blocks of basically businesses and that really it's kind of like when you have a Chinatown, then you have, like that gay side of town where, usually the gays hang out in the gay bars and stuff like that. Where you have Chinatown where you go and stuff. It's kind of like that section in the sense that becomes their own, you know.
Yeah, and they do. They have a way of picking out the vulnerable people that won't be missed or won't be reported missing
Marginalized,
quickly. Yeah, marginalized. But
marginalized.
you know what I mean? Like, he he met most of his victims online or through dating apps or whatever, classified ads, but none of them, all of them had this secret part of their life that, in my opinion, Bruce didn't. Bruce thought that nobody else knew that they were hanging out in the gay village. There's no way that they're going to be connected here. Do you know what I mean? For the most part, just like the murderers who choose prostitutes as their victims,
Like
or
victim.
homeless people, drug addicts. These are marginalized individuals who these killers think won't be missed. But I'm thankful that the the public is starting to see how wrong that thinking is, that it does matter, that no matter what these men or women or girls are going through, what kind of lifestyle they live, they're still human beings. They're still somebody's daughter. They still have children. They still have people that love them. And even if they're not reported missing and nobody notices they're gone, it doesn't mean they don't matter. And in Canada, especially Alberta and BC, because of the Highway of Tears, I think that that message is really starting to become loud
Yeah.
and clear.
Well,
People
it is.
aren't sitting back anymore.
I mean, Picton, you got freaking Hewerman, all these people that have chosen people that pretty much society has chosen as less worthy of being looked
Yes.
at. And it's the thing is, they can sit there and to me sell bullshit all they want, but it's true. It's true. And the proof is in the pudding, really. And then you have him as well, like MacArthur here. Again,
Mhm.
pick people, like I said, of color from, the newcomers to Canada and stuff like that. People that, like, oh, well, they just went back home, to their country. They're not missing really. They just went back to their country and stuff like that. But anyways, for me personally, everyone should be treated equal. It doesn't matter what you like, what business you're in or whatever. A human is a human is a human, and
Mhm.
they should all be treated the same. But we know that that's not true.
No, and police need to, and I keep saying it's getting better because I think it's just hope that it's getting better, but they need to take disappearances seriously, no matter how it makes them feel or what they think. If somebody's reported missing, they need to look into it. At least look into it. You know, don't because
We
it
have
makes us uncomfortable. We don't want to ask the right questions, or we don't want
one
to
second. My husband's here.
like 11 minutes, guys. 11 minutes. A minimum of 4 more deaths happened after that 11 minutes that we saw, and it's not acceptable. Never has been, but especially now, it's even just because we know better. They know better. And I should probably also say that there was an investigation into this investigation. Um, the police were trying to almost use one investigator as a fall guy, as the one who didn't do his job. And he stood up and said, no, no, no. Like, this was a group.
Happened to turn my mic on the exact time that went off. One second. Thank you, Gail Hurd. Who got that one? Let me see here. Okay, my things. It always takes a second before my thing to catch up on YouTube's studio there. So who got that? Happy Cappy, Happy Cappy, Happy Cappy got that uh, channel, and Charmaine had done 5 earlier as well in the live at the very start of that. So thanks again to Gilhert and Charmaine from True. I always forget the name of your title.
Well, it's on my name, True Crime Story Podcast.
I can't see it on your name unless I.
Well, if you poke it up on your, I don't know, how do you show names on our faces, like on our?
Well, hold on. Do I not have it set for that? Did I take them off before or something? Because usually if I have a comment up, it will come up. But hold on, let me just take a look here. Do I have it off? Oh, there you go.
True Crime Story.
There we go. True crime story. It's always the true crime story. There we
Mhm.
go. I don't know why I got a brain block on that too. But anyways, thank you, Gail. And Gail was doing a couple last night as well as a donation, and then she did a couple of those memberships as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so that's basically the story of Bruce McArthur, this horrific Canadian serial killer.
You know, when they started the second, like the first one they called Houston, and then the next one was Project
Project
Prison. Was it Prism or Prison?
Prism.
Oh, was it Prism?
Yeah.
Thanks for rocking the Canadian true crime. My husband comes in here a minute ago and he goes, I said, because I always know sometimes when he comes in, I'm like, what you doing? And he goes, oh, nothing. Just going to go down to the mailbox and see what coupons are in there. And I'm like, well, are you going to come back up? And he goes, no, just surprise you or something on there. So I'm just like, no, kind of tell me. Because they always pick out what they want, you know. They always usually tell me where they're gonna go.
Yeah, you can't. Do we have men in here today? I don't know, other than Travis. But anyways, you can't trust a man to go do stuff by himself.
Well, what I trust is that they keep. It's like they decide always for me. Uh,
Diana S. Super Chat. $6. Thank you. Thanks for rocking the Canadian true crime ladies.
thank you so much. Um,
What? You heard me. I said what I said.
I said what I said.
We'd be out buying cigars and bourbon instead of, I don't know, fireworks and chocolate. I don't know. What do women like to get from men? I don't even know anymore.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I don't like to get from men. I do not like getting flowers.
Right? They just die. Like, it's a nice
They just
gesture. Don't
die.
get me wrong. I'll never turn it away and I'll never bitch about it, but they die.
Pluck my toenail fungus before I get flowers or something.
Yeah,
Seriously.
paint my
Do
toenails.
something right. And my husband does that stuff. But
Mhm.
honestly, flowers, first of all, the cats will eat the flowers. Doesn't matter. If there's a plant in this house, the cats are going to eat them. But flowers to me, hi, a couple days later, you're dead. Bye. I could care less about flowers. I would rather have like a freaking gossip magazine than flowers. So
How can I not know what, Travis, what women like to get from men? Because Charmaine doesn't get things from men. You know what Charmaine gets from men?
attitude,
Emotional damage. Emotional damage.
emotional.
We're going on a solid decade of
Yeah. I bought look at, and then there's Diana. I bought myself tulips yesterday. They were $6.99 below. Actually, let me tell you what my favorite. Like, besides I love daffodils, one of my favorite flowers to get are those sprayed ones where they're multiple different colors of blue, pink, purple, whatever. When I see those, because because I like rainbows and color. Like whenever I see like color, I'm just like, oh, right? It always like tingles inside when I see that stuff. So when I see those plants out there that are all those sprayed different color ones and they're all in the big bunch and they're about $8.99. Those ones make me happy. So I usually buy them for other people, even though I don't like really buying flowers. But sometimes some people like flowers. I just
Or
could
you
care less.
just get, I have my own garden and every,
I got a garden.
yeah, I have two gardens and I pick my own flowers and I make my own bouquets. And yes, I know most women like, okay, mental list, what are the top things you used to get? I told you, emotional damage and nothing. I have a list of things that I want to get. Do you want to know what that is? I would love for a man to take out my garbage. I would love for a man to pick up after himself. I would love for a man just to be nice. Be nice. Be nice.
I'm telling you, you and my twin sister should swing the other way. And then both of you, because you guys are kind of like in the same boat there.
I'm
Like
not a man hater. I'm not a man hater.
that's
I'm
what
not
she's
a
saying
man
too,
hater.
when she was.
I'm
But
not a man hater. I'm going off of experience.
PTSD.
I don't remember the last time I had a Christmas present or birthday present. I'm not like raining on anybody's parade, but I got a list, Travis, and it's not that kind of list. Let me tell you.
I got a list. Just quickly here. Hey, Shelly. So, just quickly, I'll say it. Let me present this again. This is Shelly's cousin, and I put this up now a few times, and it's on, Twitter. It's on the community page. It's a Crime and Shame Facebook page now. Shelly. So I did call the Oklahoma police this morning, which that was Oklahoma City, which they in turn gave me a different number to call, which then that person gave me another number to call, and then nobody answered there, oddly enough. So I just kind of gave up, but I just wanted to let you know that it's so funny how they just keep passing the buck. So, do you have a number of the police department then that's around the coffee bill? Well, it depends on what. I would just think that if somebody's missing, that they should be able to be pull up on their database there, that person is entered, you would think.
Yeah. Are there any updates today at all, Shelley? Did you hear anything at all today?
Well, I was going to say that Shelly, Ashley, which is the sister to Cassie Montgomery, she had messaged me just well, I mean, I noticed it prior to this live. So I'll reach back out to her, Shelly. Um, and other than that, I mean, I seen oddly enough, I seen the article in the Globe and Mail, I think it was. It had missing people, not just Cassie, but it had other people as well in it. Pretty much the only article that I did see. But anyway, so I'll talk because there's things that are confusing to me. I mean, apparently I don't know what Red Roof Inn, because I was like Googling Red Roof Inns near Coffeyville, but I don't really know exactly where the Red Roof Inn was. So you would think that the lady in Oklahoma City, you think that there would be a database. Like if I give you a name, can you tell me if this person is reported missing? Like what? So I can only call the department that would be right in that area where she went missing that would only know that? Like, is there something wrong with that picture to me? Like if somebody, like I said, well, isn't there like a missing database? And I can't remember what she said, but it was just like, okay, thank you for your non-help. Thank you so much.
Wow.
You know,
That
um,
is-
Bruce hid bodies in planters. Yes, yes, absolutely.
yes,
Um,
he sure did.
Imagine the people that live there, by the
And
way.
and I was thinking too, because those men were missing, some of them for years. So if the smell of decomposition was enough for the police to know that they had to move those planters to the morgue, could you imagine the smell in that yard in the spring and summer months?
Mm,
You know what I mean? Unless, I don't know, I don't
right.
know. Maybe they were buried and then these were just the most recent victims in the planters. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
it is just so horrific and sad. And I just,
Disgusting. No, it's just, the thing is it's one of those things. You can't, change time.
mhm,
Sadly, all these victims become victims of these, crazy mofos out there in the world,
mhm.
and sadly, there's just tons of them. And the only thing I can hope for is that as time keeps going on, and the technology, and basically pretty much the world mapping your every movement, pretty much, that hopefully in time that some of these idiots that think that they're going to commit a crime, are smart enough to realize that the digital DNA, all the tracking on your computers, you can't basically do shit anymore, and think that you're deleting it and stuff like that, that somehow, hopefully in time, because back in the day, right, this technology or nothing existed, DNA and all this stuff, and it was so much easier to try to get away with stuff for sure, right? Because the DNA stuff didn't exist. So it's really nice to see that, coming full circle is the DNA technology that's now solving a lot of old cases that are like 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, because of the DNA. And it's only going to get better.
Mhm.
Same with the tracking and stuff like that. Um, you know, One thing I didn't like though was that when my credit card had renewed, like back last year, normally I would have to re-enter the numbers. Suddenly I didn't have to. All the things that I purchased from
Wow.
miraculously had all my new, Visa uh expiry date and stuff. And I'm like,
Wow.
because stuff like that, it's a red alert to me, because I'm like, I know that I always had to enter this when it,
Yes.
type of thing. But no, now it's just there, like, as and I'm like, I didn't do that. I know I didn't do that, But anyway, so I it's kind of one of those things, is that, hey, I for the most part don't don't mind, hey, track me all you want. I'm not doing anything, suspicious, because I got nothing to hide. But then there's that part of me that too that goes, getting a little ridiculous here, you know, like everything is, you know, cookies, accepting cookies, accept cookies.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, Lacey. But anyways, I don't know, unless you have anything else to say. I might do a live later, just on the Kansas City one, because there was an article that or there was, yeah, an article, not an article, but a video. I think it was from News Nation, that I actually really enjoyed today, watching. I might do that. Depends how I feel. Depends It depends if husband brings me something back that's filling or not. Then I might just eat and lay down or something. I don't know.
Lacey, people seem to like to call me Char, which I hated for years, and now I just don't care anymore. And my family and my friends call me Charlie. You're all welcome to call me whatever you want. That annoying broad on Funny's channel. Whatever.
Lazy.
I also answer to hey you.
Yeah. Yo, it. But
I
anyway.
vote too that you should do a live later because I'll need something to watch.
Oh, is that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see. It was already it's already almost 8 o'clock.
Well, it's almost 9 here.
Yeah. Well, that's what I don't know. I need to figure out what is the red zone? Like, what does the red zone mean in Oklahoma? Zone mean in Oklahoma? OSU is perfect in the red zone this season. Why do they call it the red zone? The red zone is an area inside a 20-yard line. Now that's a football game. That sounds like football. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to ask. Oklahoma remains in the red zone for newly reported C virus cases. I don't know. I don't know why it's called the red zone. Yeah, but they obviously got a name for it as well. There must be some sort of name. But I asked Shelly, she wasn't sure. I don't think either. So anyways, I will message back Ashley, which is Casey's sister, and see what more information I can get more accurately. Because right now it's kind of like a puzzle to me a bit on what that red zone meant. And what about Coffeeville? Like, what do you mean the phone was near her phone may be near Coffeeville? Because apparently what it seems like is that she was at the Red Roof Inn, and Shelly said her mom and sister, even though the report said sister only, so I'm confused on that. So I need to figure out that. Shelly did. I'm turning on my missing persons. Yeah, and so it was said something like that. She was that Casey was outside of the, Red Roof Inn. Basically, that the door was open, as if she had just gone out for a minute, to go back in. But then she goes missing, and the bag that she normally takes with her everywhere is still there. And this bag's apparently she doesn't ever leave with it. But I want to get the facts properly straight, because the information, most of this is coming through Shelly, which is coming through her uncle. And her uncle doesn't talk to his sister really. So he's kind of getting partial information is what I'm gathering. And so now I would just like to talk to, say, Ashley, the sister of Cassie, and try to get the actual facts put out properly. Yeah. Everyone in town has an area. Right, exactly. So anyways, again, bottom line is she's missing. So make sure you guys, either screenshot it from here and post it to your social media, or that you go to the community page. You can grab it off of there as well, or to It's Crime and Shame, or to the Twitter and stuff like that.
I've shared it as well.
Pardon?
I've shared it as well on my podcast page.
Yeah, exactly. So, every bit helps. I always imagine I possibly can't share everything that people put out there. I try to. When I see a missing person poster come up, like on Twitter, if somebody has showed one or something like that, that I hit retweet on that. Because the thing is that, and this is mostly about life. People, and this actually pisses me off to no extreme. People would rather show a stupid fucking meme than share a missing poster. I know that for a fact because that always happens whenever on Facebook that I post a missing persons, there's barely a goddamn share. And yet somebody is always going to share that stupid meme that means nothing. That always tells me where humanity lies with me. And it's disgusting that people do that. I'm sorry, but it is. And it just pisses me off to no end that somebody is literally missing. And when it comes to somebody else's child, they'd be more than willing to beg for everyone's help. So everyone that sees this, try to remember that when you see a missing person, all you need to do is hit share, hit tweet, whatever. That's as long as it takes, just for you to do something as simple like that.
Yes, you never know who's going to see it. And the more, the better.
When the shoe's on the other foot and somebody else needs the help, like I said, then it's like the wolves crying, the little kid that cried wolf, oh, I need the help. Oh, but I didn't share anybody's tweet because I'm too selfish for 1 second to take a time out of my life just to share something. But when we're talking children here, we're talking children, I mean, again, put yourself in that person's shoes. I get pissed off to no end when it comes to this whole freaking sharing memes, sharing stupid shit. But yet nobody can share barely. Somebody's missing. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that do. But trust me, on my Facebook, whenever I put a missing persons on there, it's lucky to even see a share. I go look at the meme I posted. Poof, poof, share, 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 share. I just think that that's so disgusting in society. That's the shit, selfish shit that they care about more so to share that. Share them both. Share the freaking meme, share the freaking thing. Anyways, so it's been like since the 22nd, actually, or at least according to the date in the Daily Mail, it's actually been since the 22nd is what I seen in that article. Either way, it's been about 11 days. But I'm gonna talk to Ashley. Hopefully, like she messaged me, so I'll message her back. Try to get the facts down exactly, but at the end of the day, she's still missing. So just share. And then if there's new information that I can put on this missing poster properly, I'll just go and edit it and add to that for you guys. Fair enough? Yeah, some people don't do Twitter and TikTok and stuff like that. I get it. All I'm saying is if you do have social media, it just takes a second. Retweet, share. That's it. That's all you have to do. It makes a difference of how it travels. And again, we in the true crime community, right? I would like to think again, like we're here for the caring purposes because we care about people. So it's kind of like, it makes a huge difference when people share, because the gravity of what social media can do in literally minutes can make a huge difference, and in this case, I know that they had trafficking, like when the original person, the mom's friend posted it, it said trafficking. At the end of the day, regardless whether it's trafficking or not, this girl's missing. And this girl, the family is worried sick. If she's okay, is she alive? Did somebody, basically drive up and take her? Because why would, say, a door be open? But let me get the facts before I say more about this. If Ashley messages me back here. Okay, guys? Yeah. And other than that, that's pretty much all I got to say. And Charmaine, I know that you dropped the Bruce McArthur on your podcast today as well. Charmaine? Charmaine, are you talking without your mic on? Charmaine? Where's Charmaine? Charmaine, where'd she go?
I'm sorry.
Were you totally muted?
Yeah, my daughter-in-law was here to change her laundry over and she couldn't figure out my washing machine, so I had to go.
Oh, okay. A lot of people say that they're sub to you. I was just saying that you had dropped the Bruce McArthur podcast today as well.
Yeah, well, Yeah. So I mean these are old episodes on the podcast, so I've been converting them from audio file to video file so I could put them on YouTube, because I know a lot of people who watch YouTube aren't into audio podcasts, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to do both. But I mean, I have to basically play them from start to finish to get them. So I think I got 4 done today.
Mm.
And then the new ones that come out, I think are supposed to automatically go onto the YouTube channel. So I don't know. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best, guys.
I know that's like me all the time. Just doing what I can do.
I'm
Doing
just winging it.
That's pretty much all I ever do. I just wing it. I use Google, use YouTube to try to guide me. It gets overwhelming all the time for all the different things. It drives me crazy. Like, for instance, yesterday Mark was showing on Gray Hughes's channel on the phone. He had sent me 2 pictures, and it was super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and
Really?
the joint. Now, when I went to a bunch of different lives to see if it was the same thing, and no, it wasn't. All we ever see is just the 2. Now, when I went to YouTube, right, YouTube's video about it, YouTube is like, and it can be used on your whatever Android and iOS, right? So I go to my phone, and I, like I said, because I'm doing the same thing. And I'm like, bullshit, YouTube. There's nothing there that you can click. And then I go to this other guy's YouTube thing, and he goes, you have to do it from the desktop. Like, for instance, on the app, like Adam will always say that he puts it on the desktop version or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
like in Safari or whatever. Like
you
you can,
know,
yeah.
yeah, so he'll go to whatever. But why? I just don't understand it. Like, come on, YouTube. You know, you're too busy demonetizing one of my videos, one of my drug videos, and yet and that's what happens, right? You get you get someone over at YouTube that sits at home deciding if your video, because you're going to ask for a review, and they're going to be like, "Oh, God's drugs in it." Really, that whole video was pretty much watching News Nation channels. Thing about when you talk about drugs and stuff like that is that if you're using it for ill-mannered purposes in a sense, or trying to sensationalize it and stuff like that, okay, not it has all the wording in the video in the description, the da 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 da. So when you have someone that sits at home, picks their nose basically, and goes, yeah, it's talking about drugs, yeah, demonetized, and yet all the other ones of the same topic are monetized.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off. Like, because that's not consistent. I have 2 videos exactly the same that I both asked for reviews on. One got green, one they put yellow. And it just depends which person's sitting at home picking their nose, deciding what they're going to do to your video. Meaning, if it stays yellow, you have to try to ask for a review, right? And so that one came back saying, sorry, no ad suitability. Oh, shut the fuck up, because the one above it has ad suitability to it. And it just pisses you off. It pisses you off that you sit there for 2 hours or whatever, or make a video, and YouTube can't be consistent with their crap. And once they vote that it's non whatever, well, then great. Then you'd have to sit there and go with you. Is it worth it for the freaking 50 cents that video is probably going to make, the dollar that it might make? Type, like, meaning it would be different if I was somebody that got like freaking 5K, 10K, 20K, 50K views. That'd be different. Imagine what those people go through. They're too busy looking at the dollar amount that they just missed out on because of YouTube demonetizing that video and stuff like that. Anyways, that part irritates me. But anyways, so I went there, like I said, and it's showing it. So why is it that Gray Hughes shows up, but nobody else's does? I mean, I know that I think he uses little tricks to his. At least somebody had told me that. But I mean, come on, YouTube, just get with it. The Androids and iPhones have been out forever. How can you not simply show it all? Super chats, whatever. Buy a membership, whatever. But on Gray Hughes's, you can see it. the other channels, all the other channels I went to, I didn't see anything. Like on the other 4 that I went and looked at, it was just showing super chats and stickers. Why are they making life so difficult? I went to my iPad to see if it did the same thing. It did. And like a lot of people don't spend time on a desktop. You know, a lot of people use their phones and their tablets and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to email YouTube and ask them about that, because I sit there, you know, you spend a lot of time and you're trying to find it, and YouTube is saying like, hey, you can do it. You know, just go down to this on your iOS, and then no, it's not there. YouTube, trust me, not there. It's on Great News, but it's not there. And you know, so it's like stuff like that hurts your brain because you spend like an hour searching just to come up with a goose egg, you know. And I kind of gave up. My next step is I'll just email YouTube and be like, hey, here's Mark's screenshots. One that shows it, why. But yes, it should be on. Well, yeah, you should just be able to see it. Hit the dollar sign, and they should all just drop down. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
but
know,
they don't.
but they don't. No. Anyways, we're gonna end this live stream, you guys. Thank you much to Charmaine Gilherd, and I think, and it was Diana. I think it was Diana that did the $6. Was it Diana? Diana, I think it was you.
So,
I think it was Diana. Yep, it was Diana that did the $6 super chat. So appreciate that very much, Charmaine. Again, do you have anything to say before we head off? Or
no, just thanks for coming.
yeah,
Thanks for listening to me for another 2 hours almost. Babylon.
no, we're good. We're good. Apparently, your voice is so sexy.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Like,
people just can't stop listening to you.
I'm not gonna lie, that's the first time I've been like embarrassed in a very long time.
Oh, yeah. For me,
I got over it quick, but I was like, whoo, my cheeks hot.
yeah. Anyways, you guys take care. Have a great night. Thanks again for everything. And perhaps I'll see you in another live tonight. Take care, guys.
Night.
And yep. Gotta find that extra, the outro. Here we go. Found it.
A Norfolk night, the world is cold. We stand surrounded, we are not alone. Within my reverie, there's holy light. Without a number, we stand and fight. I know